Okay, so today we're going to look at both the three lines of defence, which was first published in 2013 with an update in 2017, but we're also going to look at the updated and modified three lines model that was published in 2020. This is a back to basics session, so this presentation will just be an oversight of all the principles involved for you. So, as I say, back in January 2013, the three lines of defence was published by the Institute of Internal Auditors, and its aim was to provide a comprehensive framework to consider overall arrangements for managing risks within an organisation. And since that time, it's become the most commonly adopted method for modelling risk management responsibilities. I think this picture sort of sums it up really, but when applied, the three lines of defence should create a good dialogue throughout the organisation that will prevent risks from being overlooked, which could ultimately cause financial or other disaster for the organisation. So the three lines of defence is based on a risk management framework that divides responsibilities among different groups of people around the organisation. And it's a way of explaining the relationship between all the risk management functions, but it also provides a guidance on the responsibilities that should be divided to ensure or to assure the risk management processes. So different parts of your organisation will play different roles in risk management, and the interaction between those roles will determine just how well your organisation deals with risk as a whole. Implementation of three lines of defence is not simple. It does require some vision, but like most things in risk management, there are benefits to be had, such as appropriate allocation of risk ownership, the removal of any unnecessary work or duplication of work, and an improved risk culture and improved risk reporting. So while the framework is widely acknowledged as the governance model for risk, its implementation does vary across organisations. But by clearly defining the roles and responsibilities, it does aim to detect issues early on. So we're going to look at each of those first lines. So the first line is all about operational management. So these will be those of you who own and manage risks or controls or both on a daily basis, and who are responsible for identifying and assessing risks as well, along with the implementation of any controls. And it's first line people, they need to have the necessary skills as well as knowledge of the relevant policies and procedures in order to look after their risks. And they'll also need a good understanding of the organisation and its objectives, and thus helping maintain the risk culture throughout the organisation. So your second line of defence of risk management and compliance functions, and these are the people that specialise in compliance and oversight. So quite often your risk management teams, they are the ones that set the policies, define the frameworks, provide the tools and techniques to support the risk management within the first line. And the second line monitors the effectiveness of the risk management being carried out, and it also helps to ensure consistency throughout the organisation. So again, that risk culture element. Second line functions are also responsible for challenging the activities of the first line, and they also provide direction and guidance in relation to the risk management. And of course, they are responsible for reporting upwards to senior management as well. However, as the second line provides a control and oversight function, it should be independent of the first line, completely separate, and that's to prevent any conflict of interest or undue influence over any decisions that it makes. And then we have the final third line. So this is truly independent of the other two lines. It normally comprises internal audit functions, and it's there to provide assurance to senior management of the quality and the effectiveness of the risk management processes throughout the organisation. And because the internal audit provides independent review and challenge, it's important to maintain that independence by ensuring that this third line defence, so that people within that internal audit haven't been involved previously in the first or second lines or in any of the decisions made about the frameworks. Sorry, I should put that bit up there. So Then we come to the 3 lines model. So this is the revised version. So in 2020, basic but well-respected 3 lines of defence, this was updated to a less defensive 3-line model. And this was developed to provide a more flexible framework. And the aim of this was to set out principles more clearly. So the 3 lines model is not a fundamental change. It's more a series of improvements in order to reinforce the 3 lines of defence. But at the same time, it provides an explanation of the roles and responsibilities of the key positions, and it gives guidance on the implementation of all the measures to bring the company objectives in line with the interests of the stakeholders. So it's an improvement on the 3 lines of defence. So the most important change in this model compared to the 3 lines of defence is the transition to a principle-based approach. So the 6 principles of the 3-line model, they put the emphasis on the role of the individual and not on the operative function. So rather than a team responsibility, it is individual responsibility. And the aims of these principles is to improve that responsibility and to shift the emphasis into the individual along the 3 different lines of defence. So we have governing body who is accountable to stakeholders, and it's their role to ensure appropriate structures and processes are in place. We also have their management, and it's their responsibility to, along with the first and the second line roles, it's their responsibility of taking risk management actions, including the implementation, controls, procedures, and anything necessary to achieve the company objectives. And then you've got the 3rd line, so the internal audit provides the independent assurance. And Principle 5 reiterates that the independence of internal audit from the responsibilities of management, it's absolutely critical to keep its authority and credibility. So we just look at those 6 principles in a little bit more detail for you. So Principle 1 is governance. So the 3-line model gives its first principle as governance of the whole organisation, and this requires appropriate structures and processes that enable accountability and actions to achieve the organisation's objectives. So they're the overall governance. You then have the governing body roles at Principle 2, and this ensures that appropriate structures and processes are in place and activities are aligned with the interests of stakeholders. And they'll also delegate responsibility and provide resources to management to achieve the objectives of the company, but also ensure legal and regulatory expectations are met along the way. And it also establishes and oversees an independent audit function. So your Principle 3, this is the management's responsibility, and this is to achieve objectives and comprises also both the first and the second line roles. So it's management along with the first and the second line. And the first line roles are mostly aligned with the delivery of products or services, and the second line provides the assistance with managing risk. And the first and second lines could be blended together, or they could be separate functions altogether, depending on your organisation. Internal audit in the 3rd line will provide independent assurance. It will also provide advice on the effectiveness of the organisation's risk management, and it achieves this through discipline processes and expertise, and it also reports to management and up to the governing body as well. Principle 5 is around internal audit being completely independent from the responsibilities of management, which, as we said before, is critical for its authority and credibility around the organisation. And Principle 6 is around all these roles working together collectively and the alignment of risk activities achieved through communication, cooperation and collaboration. So it's all about all these first, second, third line defence all working together collaboratively. And there are some key roles in these. So as we know, organisations can differ considerably in their distribution of responsibilities, but these 4 high-level roles serve to reiterate the principles, those 6 principles of the new 3-line model. I won't read all these out here. So the governing body. So the key roles of the governing body are here, including engagement with stakeholders, establishing governance structures and processes, and maintaining that oversight of compliance throughout the risk management processes. These people, management and the first line roles, they lead and direct actions, including risk management, and are responsible for the application of resources to achieve objectives. And this role also assists with maintaining the continuous dialogue with the governing body, and it reports on risks or any risks that are linked to the corporate objectives. And then the third key role is the second line roles with management. So the second line is there to provide the complementary expertise, support, and any challenge relating to the management of risk. It also includes all the risk management practices and processes and system levels. And then your final key role is the internal audit. So again, they maintain primary accountability to the governing body and independence from the responsibilities of risk management. They'll also provide additional assurance to satisfy regulatory expectations and any requests by management or the governing body itself. So the oversight and assurance, so this comes from all those four key roles. So the governing body relies on reports from management, including the first and the second line and the internal audit, in order to exercise their oversight and achievement of the company objectives. The management role is there and provides assurance on the risk and the risk management. And those with second line roles, they provide the additional assurance on any risk related matters, such as risk teams. And because of internal audit's independence from management, the assurance it provides carries the highest degree of objectivity, beyond which the first and second roles can't provide. And they'll also draw on further assurance from external providers if they need to. So there is an opportunity for improvement once the three lines model is implemented. It can provide many opportunities, including increased active and collaborative exchange, giving and receiving feedback. All the roles within the organisation are working more closely together, communicating and collaborating together. There's a focus on the implementation of the business objectives and searching for the best way to achieve them. Tackling any problems creatively and using newly found techniques through collaboration. Partial automation of some of the first and second line activities. And the coordination and design of processes to enhance the risk management function overall. So how can the use of JCAD facilitate the three lines model? So I've picked out a few here. So firstly, JCAD is a fully automated system. It allows timely reviews of all risks and controls, delegating responsibility to risk control and action owners individually. So they're all taking their own responsibility. You can add in custom fields. This will show where in the three-line model, any particular control sits. You can add categories into JCAD system, categories, crosscuts and record links, and this will ensure alignment of risks across the organisation. You can allow view-only access to staff members who would have an interest in a risk but may not necessarily be a risk owner, and this will help with the collaborative working and transparency across the organisation. You can ensure resources are allocated to allow achievement of the control measures, and you can add these into the control measure itself on the system. There's also a fully automated risk appetite function built in within Core. And you can add business objectives into the system either at a corporate level or at a service level, and you can give everyone access to see these. You can engage with stakeholders through the various reporting reports within JCAD, and in particular you can do a high-level dashboard reporting through Power BI with the JCAD Core 5 API license. Internal auditors can have access to view risks and controls on the system for their risk-based investigations. And a separate audit register can be added in order to track recommendations and follow-ups. Any risk strategy, policy and frameworks can be uploaded to the system to allow anyone with access to view them as well. And you can upload other documents within the control area to show assurance of each control. And we also offer a personal consultancy to organisations to assist their second line roles in development and continuous improvement of their risk management processes throughout.